Hello,
Hey.
welcome everyone to episode 11 of 40k Frontiers, Scheduling and Uprising. With us today, we got the beautiful Alexes. Firstly, we got Mr. Towse. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, probably better than other Alex. He's got great stories to tell next.
And alluding to, as per Alex, we got Alex is back. Korean Alex, no longer American Alex. Officially Korean Alex for at least the past 2 months. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing good. We had a bit of an adventure over the last month of getting moved in. Those of you who've watched the show for a while may notice my background's different again because I can't record in the same place more than once. This is my new living room / office it's the second living room in our house that I've taken over as the game space.
/ hole?
Slash what? No, that's on the third floor. We'll cover that. But there's going to be a game table off to my left. We have room for a 6x4 folding table full of terrain, and so I'll actually be able to play games at my house. And I have my hobby station next to me with 3 partially complete Venerable Contemptor Dreadnoughts, which I'm sure I'll talk about why that's important later.
Fantastic. So on today's show, it's a bit of a lighter show. So later on, we got an interview with Tweek and Joker from Contact Lost. So they give us an update onto what the Polish meta is all about and what's happening, and a bit of a preview into Uprising. Oh, not Uprising, apologies. Well, WTC. And then also we just have some quick questions from the audience and general questions to touch things up on. But before we get started, so Alex, now Korean Alex, you've had quite the adventures. So please enlighten us, Alex. So what's been happening? We've been missing you, buddy.
We'll do the human interest portion of this show. So I've been gone for about a month. My wife got here about almost a month to the day. She got here July 16th with the dogs. So we moved everyone into the house. And at the time, there wasn't anything here, and it was a lot of getting settled. So that's why we missed one of the last couple shows. We were getting her settled. I had to get her checked in for medical. We got settled in the house. We were all good. And then her and I got COVID at the same time, which was miserable. I had COVID for about 4 days. She had it for about a week. It was really funny because my 4 days really sucked, but then I was over it. And then her week-long COVID was a spread out version of sucking. She lost sense of smell, lost sense of taste. So it was bad, but we get over that. And then while we have COVID, we get a phone call, and it's the moving company. And the moving company says, "Hey, we've got your stuff. We're ready to deliver next week." Normally that means it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks out because these guys are super booked up. And I call them back and I say, "Okay, I'm ready to pick up the stuff or have my stuff delivered. When are you going to do it?" And they said, "Oh, next week." So this is when I have COVID. So the week later, they're going to show up to my house with everything I own. And I say, "Okay, cool. That'll be great. I really hope I'm feeling good enough by then." We were. So they are going to show up Tuesday. And this is the following week. So we're all good. We get to Monday night, and news comes in. For those who follow news in Asia, there was a huge monsoon that was going to hit the Seoul metro area. I don't live in Seoul. I live about an hour south in Pyeongtaek. But if Seoul's going to get hit by some weather event, we're probably going to catch some of it. So Seoul received the most rain in a night that it had received in 80 years. It got more rain now. The only time it had received an equal amount of rain was in 1942. So it was a lot of water. As an aside, if you want to look up fun pictures, look up the Gangnam district in Seoul from the rain event. Cars were completely submerged in the streets. It was a lot of water. Of course, having lived in Florida before, I think I got a monsoon. That's nothing. I've survived hurricanes. We'll be fine. So I go to bed Monday night. And I wake up Tuesday morning at about 4:50 in the morning, and I hear water running down the house. And I'm like, it's raining. It's a monsoon. There's going to be water outside. And then I open the door. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I'm going to scoot over here real quick. I noticed that the running water is louder, and I have a water feature in my house coming down those stairs. My house had flooded. The drains upstairs had completely clogged. Even though I cleaned them the weekend before, it just so much water had come down, it had blown stuff onto the roof and clogged the drains. We had about 1.5 feet of water on the 3rd floor of our house, which turned into an adventure of me running up the stairs, realizing there's water like Looney Tunes coming through the door. And I decide, okay, well, it's time to fix it. And I make a decision that you should probably not make at 5 a.m. And I jump into a 1.5 foot pool of water with a running air conditioner. Dying was not on my things I wanted to do this week, but we tempted fate. And I run over and unclog the drains. And then I spend the rest of my morning mopping my house because it had flooded on all 3 floors. Now, I got incredibly lucky with this because my stuff didn't show up until that afternoon. So I completely cleaned my house for the movers to show up and deliver everything. And this is the part where it gets 40K connected, because I'm standing out there, delivery guys are there like, all right, we have your stuff. I go, awesome, cool. They open the truck, and they come in these little wood, like 4.5 foot tall, couple foot wide crates, and they ship them over on shipping containers, and they'll take them, load them onto specialized trucks, and they'll drive them to your house. So, all right, we're good. And I watch them open a wood container, and out comes my guard army, specifically the tanks, in a box on their side with at least 3 things pretty much powered. So we haven't done a full inventory yet, but it looks like my guard army got a lot smaller, not by intent. I know I can guarantee right now I have 2 Hydras / Wyverns that are going to need a lot of TLC. And I saw that, and I saw a old Forge World Styges 7 Vanquisher turret just rolling around in the truck. So I don't know what I actually had break there. Much like the actual Styges 7, it probably doesn't exist anymore. And I saw a bunch of the sponsor weapons out too. So that's where we're at now. So there'll probably be a Viking funeral for some of those guard units. Fortunately, if Death Guard stuff breaks, it's really easy to put back together. And the Necron stuff that I'd accumulated was mostly on the sprue. And the Knights made it. I know the Knights were packed perfect, so they were fine. So we haven't opened any of the Forge World stuff that was in there in boxes. So we're going to see if I just have bricks of resin in crates now. But that's where we're at. That's how I've received everything. As a side update, as all of this is going on, it's also finals week at Georgetown. So that's been fun. I've been working on that. And I have Korea's first GT in 9 days. I'm playing in what looks to be a 28-man GT in downtown Seoul. It's the first GT hosted in the country, which is why I've been speed painting Venerable Contemptor Dreadnoughts. When I do coaching with Art of War, and when my coach asked, why aren't you bringing Caladiuses? My answer was, there is not a world where those are built and painted in time. So we're going with what we got. But that's the life update for me, what we've had going on.
Is that the episode, lads? Is that it?
Oh, just another day, like right?
That's just what happens.
That's so much nonsense, dude.
It is an exciting time to figure out what the hell is going on with my life when you also find that a lot of your stuff is broken on delivery. But yeah, that's what's been going on.
For reference for those listening, we heard like half of this in the backstage thing beforehand, and then we're like, Alex, just wait, tell this to everybody. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I grew a mustache while I had COVID too, because I just given up at that point. Shaving was too much work.
Yeah. That was also discussed backstage. I was not greeted fondly when I said that. Alex, just completely off topic, sort of, who do you have coaching you for Art of War, if you feel like sharing?
Oh, Mr. Violence. I pay him to harass me.
Outstanding.
Tell me what bad decisions I'm making in 40K. I would like to point out the ability of his service is I started coaching with him, and I immediately won an RTT within a faction I never played before. So that was a good feeling.
I think I technically do that as well, because supporting stat check, and then I think I get harassed on there. Maybe I do that with Ennis. I don't know. Yeah.
Look, I get harassed by a lot of people about 40K, so this is really just now I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
There we go. Pay to win. Boom.
Yeah.
So what's been happening to you,
me, yeah. So I had COVID last time we were recording, right? Other than the interview, like the last actual episode. I listened back to some of that, and I was not like I was not all there. So yeah, I think we're largely over that. Still a bit slow or something. Otherwise I've probably broken recording at this point, but I've been making terrain because when you want to run an event yourself from scratch with good terrain, you got to make a lot of terrain. I have done, I don't know how many hours of laser cutting. I've got several more to go, but we're doing all right. I have posted an event in a player's pack. It's only missing a few important things, but that's fine. It has funny. I'm doing all my stuff like I've got pretty like it's hosted at uni and other stuff. So I've called it the Uni Games, and it has like themed prizes. So like best painted is Dean of Fine Arts. There's the Seas Get Degrees Award, which is for like Wooden Spoon. Various other things that I thought were funny, and at least one other person has told me is funny. So we're doing all right there. So yeah, running event, have many laser cuttings to do. Oh yeah, also like many. I'm back doing studies at uni, and so within like a 3-day period, I had to do that. I got older. I had something else happen. I had to book things in for like 4 different events. There was, I had to put something out for my event that I was slow on. I had to submit my list for Donkey Con, like the peak comedy tournament that's on in 2 days, I think. I need to glue together a dreadnought that I dropped, but otherwise I'm prepped for that. I had to sort something out, message the guys about flights or accommodation for NZ teams, because I've had one of them this year, but that was last year's New Zealand teams event. That got delayed because COVID. So now in September, yeah, I have another New Zealand teams event that we're going to. Sorry, bro, I'm not going to be home for your birthday. I'm doing important things. Something else? Oh yeah, the thing that led to the episode title. We all have tickets to Uprising. The other 2 guys on the show are muted, giving me absolutely no background noise, which is confusing. So I'm going to share the fact that we're all going to Uprising Adelaide. So that's so that is why the episode title is scheduling an Uprising. That and nobody else had better ideas for a title because Sam is the only one that does planning. Alex has apparently been doing like enough nonsense that it makes sense he showed up late. And yep. Someone else talk now. It's quiet. I'm scared.
Yeah, we are. I guess that is a breaking story. Is the entire cast of 40K Frontiers will be attending Uprising Adelaide, which I'm very excited for. I'm traveling to an entirely different continent to play 40K exclusively, and the wife and I are going to go around and see stuff in Australia because we should probably do that too while we're down there. But we will.
I don't know. Like,
Uprising.
there's awfully like Australians if you travel around Australia. You might want to avoid that.
See, I like to think of it also that I'm going to Uprising, that I'm preventing a hardworking Australian 40K player from attending.
Yeah.
I don't know if we covered it on here, but it sold out in like 4 hours. So I was like, oh, wow. Apparently this was the year to go.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Ben had us teed up with there was like a pre-sale with the Down Under 40K network or something like that. Anyway, he messaged a thing about it, and then I ask, oh yeah, what's the Discord server link or something to him? And he harasses me for, not already being there. And then the next day it's like, good thing we did that early sale then.
It worked out, so it was all good. Yeah, we're all going to be there, so it's fantastic. For myself, I've just been playing games, getting back into the swing of things. So I have a teams tournament in the beginning of October and a big major, CritCon, hoorah. So got CritCon happening. It's a 6-rounder, end of September, so preparing for that. And I'll probably be playing Sisters, funnily enough, so getting some practice games in that. Just, switching to another S-tier faction, just as it happens, not by any luck or chance or anything like that. So
just
aboard. Exactly. So yeah, just getting all that ready, getting the models and stuff ready. So it's all good. And yeah, also helping out locally. So we have a store sort of start getting into the swing of things with 40K. So had their first ever tournament Oh, sorry, apologies. Their second ever tournament this past weekend. So attended, helped some people out, and had a grand old time. So yeah,
Yeah, I was
good
gonna
old
say,
time.
because you just posted in your thing like running a tournament or something around one. I'm like, haven't you done this already? Like, I'm making this big ordeal of trying to run something, and Sam's just like, yeah, I've done 2 of them now, and Ben's over in the corner laughing.
Yeah, easy. Just another day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
apparently.
so yeah, we're doing a lot. I think Alex has had a lot more things going on than all of us combined. But look, it is what it is. It's not a contest, is it? It's not a contest.
I also forgot to throw in there. There's a very good chance, like 90% chance, I'm going to Warzone Houston in September. Work wanted to fly me back to the States for a training event. And I said, cool, I'll do it, but I want to be able to take time off to go to Houston for some reason. So I might be attending a GT in the States too.
Yeah. To quickly quote my wonderful mother, it's not a competition unless I'm winning. So it's only a competition for Alex.
Boom. There we go. Towse's mum coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we? Is that like all the what's been happening thing? Is it time for Sam to, instead of bandwagoning, time for take his one of 3 other joys, which is plug the network. The third joy, of course, being spreadsheets.
Of course. I mean, what else could you want in life?
I mean, maybe Monique, actually. Monique seems lovely, so...
She is a
That
wonderful human being, and I do love her very much. But what I also love is patreon.com/best-in-tabletop-network. Boom! There we go. Please join the best Discord in 40K going around. It's $10 a month, and spoiler alert, in the future we'll be merging with YouTube, so there will be some integration there forward. So getting... get the YouTube Premium side of things and the Discord side of things. So that's something that the team are working on. So look out for that. But if you want to join right now, get access to some of the best 40K players in the world and get some feedback and advice, patreon.com/best-in-tabletop. Alternatively, if you want to get behind the scenes content, there's the YouTube Premium thing, which should be just down below if you're watching this live or in the YouTube video backwards. So there's part 2 is a Cherry Sinner narrative. We just recently had Billy talking about how you own a pet pig in San Francisco, just casual things. Alex McDougall's on the way, and there's been plenty of episodes prior, as long as more bit reps. So recently it was announced that myself and the TNG guys, so from the Next Generation podcast, and Colin and the crew up in the Pacific Northwest, releasing bit reps. So there'll be more and more of those coming along. But in addition, of course, we've got to plug some more stuff. We have merch. Merch, ladies and gentlemen, merch. So this past week,
can I quickly jump in? Just to clarify on the Patreon YouTube merging thing. The idea is that Patreon will still exist if you just want to be in the Discord. The YouTube will, if you're not interested in the Discord, you can just do the YouTube join the member thing, and then through YouTube you'll be able to do the 15 a month thing, and that will somehow, through things that we don't need to worry about, tie into the Discord. But yeah, merch. Do you think, Sam?
Okay. We have merch. So this week, Best in Tabletop released a bunch of merchandise available for you all, with a bunch of t-shirts designed. We have Stompin' Good featuring the one, the only Lucas de Orc. We got Tyler Bortel and his various triangle-based violence and all those shenanigans. And we got Naj with Army-wide OBSEC, of course, of the KH. But of course, the most important, we got the 40K Frontiers muscle tees, as well as regular t-shirts if you want. So featuring the man, the myth, the legend, the koala. I think it has to be Kenny the koala, right? We have to nickname our koala, right? Kenny the koala, Australian icon.
I'm not sure I'm immediately on board with the name, but yeah, the koala's pretty neat.
Yeah, then there's a bunch of things available. Mugs, there's placemats, there's headbands. If you want to be like a John Lennon and wear a headband and just, look suave as all. There's stainless water bottles, there's glossy mugs, there's everything. I've been assured all the t-shirts and everything are made of the highest quality stuff, so no issues there. And it caters for all sizes, big and small. So if you feel like supporting, and a portion of the funds obviously go to us content creators, so we can help create more content for you all. So if you have any questions or would like to do anything, just let us know, or appreciate the support.
I'm pretty sure Colin exclusively got the headband made so that he could send one to Lennon. I think that's the main reason that exists on the store. It's just right, we're making these. At least one will be sold. We bought to give to someone else. Like, as with my history of sending random crap to other people I know through 40k on the internet, I am on board with that. Did you just make a koala appear on the overlay, Sam? I'm confused.
It's been there the whole time. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to YouTube and checking this. Someone else talk.
So yeah, beautiful. So looking forward to joining you on there and kicking off with the show. So this past weekend, so as we're recording, we had those two sort of events in Australia. We started off with a smaller event called Winter Assault, hosted by the wonderful Michael Bask out of Objective Secured. So small RTT run in WA, you know, the wacky land that produces weird armies and stuff like that. It was run by Drakari. So Drakari came in first, then Custos, and then Drakari again. So Drakari's having a resonance in WA or something like that. But also there was a GT-sized event, so the Risky Rollers Open. So shout out to Risky Rollers crew. So their YouTube channel do very similar stuff to Tabletop Titans. That's the one. So live battle reports and stuff like that. Do very good quality. So yeah, and was won by Dean Simbeck of Blog for the Blood God fame. So the Chaos Legend himself, who was featured on the Art of War Down Under reviews. So he won with Creations of Bile. That's the one. So getting the most.
I was going to say, is he still current top ITC CSM player? He was until quite recently, at least. And let's assume he still is. Yeah.
I am pretty
Sam,
sure he
you
was.
muted yourself.
Yeah, of course. I am pretty sure he was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's literally all he plays, right? So,
Oh, I know he was. I'm just wondering if he still is, or if someone's like leapfrogged him yet. I'm sure Anthony's going to try, or someone like that.
I think with the scores he had been before, it'd be really hard to leapfrog him that quickly. Because if he was the top of underplayed faction, it would take a little bit for people to be able to knock those scores out.
Yeah. I missed my chance but I'm gonna like throw it in late. Maybe all the weird stuff is winning in WA because the good players have gone off to play each other in the semis of the War Master at WTC. I don't know if any of those guys are actually from WA, but anyway.
They are not, but the Australians are absolutely conquering the WTC. So as we're recording, it's the end of day 2 for the War Master, so end of round 6, and in the top 4 we have 2 Australians. So Liam Hackett and Matt Morosoli, congratulations, fellas. Just crushing it. Just asserting dominance on the world. Ignore the fact that, like...
I was going to say, honestly, at time of recording, it's probably close to the start of day 3, I think, with time zone stuff. Also, very importantly, for the second War Master running, Liam Hackett knocked out Innes, or like he defeated Innes. It's very important. As we need to like report on 40k as it's happening all around the world. That important nugget of information needs to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, it should just get better, honestly. Like, trash. Losing the same player in 2 events running. Like, come on, buddy. Trash. Anyways. But yeah, but of course, when 2 Australians make it to the semi-finals, of course they have to pair off against each other. So, got Matt Morosoli and his Drakari versing Liam Hackett and his Necrons. So, see how that all falls out. And then of Jaime Paris, so he's running Nids, and then Oliver Weiss, he's playing Salamanders, I'm pretty sure, from memory. So
is that like Jaime Paris of like Space Wolf at like former Charity Hammer fame?
That is the one, the only. I'm pretty sure he's playing for Team Spain, so
yeah,
living it up. So yeah, exciting stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, obviously this is the precursor to the World Team Championships, but occur just a bit over 24 hours. So, Mr. Alex, so obviously had a crazy whirlwind of events happening, but do you have any insightful insights into the WTC or what you think may be happening? What will happen?
Yeah, USA #1. That's all I know. We're going to follow that. No, and only WTC.
Spoken like a man with three Codex Contemptors on his shelf.
No, I haven't had a chance to really look at the WTC stuff right now based on everything else. I know Team USA is stacked this year, so it'll be fun to see how they go. And then I'm just really excited for a potential Team Korea in 2024. Don't worry about that.
Wait, 2023 is the next year, right, Alex? Come on.
Yeah, it's going to take us a little bit. Don't worry.
I'm worried. Speedrunning. Just get some mercs. Nick Nanavati's not playing this year, right? You can probably pick him up.
No, the rules are you have to have, I think it was 5 players from that country. As we figured out in Korea, it's really easy to fill our merc slots.
Do you count as from the country or not?
No,
You would,
I've not been here long enough. So I will never qualify as a player from this country. I'll always play as a merc unless I would never be picked up by Team USA, but it's really funny. I can only technically play as a home player for Team USA. Doesn't matter where I get sent. I will never be there long enough to qualify. But yeah, no, I know the WTC stuff I'm very excited for. Again, seeing how Team USA comes out, Team Scotland, especially with Innes from the show. Interested to see what they do too. I think it's very interesting also with WTC where you have, like you pointed out, Jaime Paris. I'm familiar with him as a Space Wolf player. In fact, I have met him and he's a Space Wolf player. And then he's like, oh, he's on NIDS right now. I'm like, oh, that's interesting how national teams do that, where they'll pull people off of what they normally play to fill team roles, which I think is interesting.
That's why I question if it was the same Jaime. It's also amusing you saying how like, oh yeah, it's interesting that people do that, given like all of the musical faction shares that Team USA has done.
Well, it's okay because everyone on Team USA plays every faction, so it's fine.
They're also the only team with players in the top 20, depending on which ranking metric you use.
I thought Team Scotland had one. I thought Innes was like mid-teens.
I'm talking about like the voted one, not the.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just like beating that dead horse.
Yeah, well, the problem is we're ending up with Team USA is ending up with very high-ranked players poached from all over the country to play on it. So we'll see how that goes. But from what I also understand is it's a team's environment, and that doesn't necessarily matter. Seeing based on how other teams are strategizing when they go in rounds, so it'll be interesting.
Yep. Sorry, they're at least playing. Oh, you go, Sam. I've done enough tangents today.
No, you're fine, buddy. So yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens. So Towse, do you have any predictions for WTC? Who's going to take it out? Who's going to be the underdog?
So on the Stat Check Discord, they had like a WTC prediction thing where you had to you could follow through their draft system and like sort of insert yourself in. I did a bit of a vote with my heart prediction where in the first round I didn't go for like Poland or some of the other there were other names. I went for the Aussies to win. And then I think it was anyway, I voted for in spirit these guys have got this. Probably not in actuality, but so I don't know. I don't super know enough to make great predictions. So I don't have anything there.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. So I believe the Australians have been working very hard at this, and they've done as much as they can. So, and if it's singles performance is anything to go by, I mean, which isn't obviously because it's not, it's teams, but we can believe a little bit, get some hot form running in, and then see how we go. But to listen to more about the WTC and what I guess not reigning defending, but the longest standing champions or the most successful. There we go. The most successful ETC winners in Poland. We have Tomek and Tweek coming on to do an interview and talk to us about life in Poland. So, catch up. All right. Hopefully, should be coming up soon. All right. We are live. Thank you. Well, so welcome to 40K Frontiers episode 11. With us today, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Tomek, also known as Tweek. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invite, but I think you overdid the invitation. Sorry, not the invitation, the introduction. Not the legend yet, definitely not. But maybe slowly, efficiently getting there. Maybe in 10 years.
Sam would also overdo an invitation, to be fair.
Yeah, but that's very nice. I appreciate it.
Also joining us with us today, we got Towse. How you doing, buddy?
Hey. Yeah, I'm here because superfan Ben Way, unfortunately, is working, and we're back to time zones.
It is what it is. So, Michal will be joining us soon, so aka Joker. So, just have to quickly duck away, but he'll be joining us soon. So, with us today, we're just going to talk to obviously the man, the myth, the legend, and Joker as well about Contact Loss, so a Polish podcast coming out of, I guess, Poland, which talks about the WTC community, I guess, there in Poland and what the whole meta and scene is like. So just to get things started off, nice and easy. How did you get into 40K, Tomasz? When did things start? What's been happening?
So for good, I got into it in like 2014, 2015. So I don't have a decades of backstory behind me like many players do. But I think my interest started with Dawn of War, and I used to play a lot of that back in the day, and then at some point. When my son was born, and I knew that I won't be able to spend as much time as I would like playing computer games, I started venturing into something else. And I looked at orcs because orcs were my faction in Dawn of War, and I started collecting orcs because they were the most forgiving when it comes to painting, and I had no painting skills whatsoever at the beginning. So I went into that, and it's sort of slowly developed. Orcs turned out I started in 7th edition, where orcs were absolutely dire. So after a couple of games, I decided to switch up the army, and I went into I think Dark Eldar because they looked nice, and I had 27 lost games in a row with that. And then I moved to Space Wolves, and I started winning, and this is like how it made me stay in the hobby, because after 27 losses with Dark Eldar, I was on the verge of quitting.
Yep, that sounds rough. You should have just started playing Dark Eldar much more recently. Like a year ago.
Oh yeah, it would be much different.
Yeah,
where it would have been.
And with us as well, we've got Joker, aka Michal. So, how you doing, Michal or Joker?
I'm right. Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
So yeah, we'll just start off questioning. So, Joker, how did you get into 40K, and how long have you been playing this wonderful hobby for?
I think I've been playing for the past 5 years, consistently at least. But my first contact with 40K was way back when I was a kid, around 20 years ago, I think. So yeah, I've been in London as a kid, and obviously it was something along the lines of just walking past a Games Workshop and games, and then hoping to see video games, and then I walk in and wait, those aren't games. But yeah, it just kind of happened like that. Obviously, I had to take a long break from it, because then coming back here where the hobby wasn't so developed, so to speak, and it was relatively way more expensive. So it's been 15 or 20 years off, eventually, perhaps only fantasizing about it from time to time. And then, when I got a job, started working, and I thought, hey, maybe there is a scene here. Maybe I can try actually playing the game. And here I am today.
That's such a relatable story. Oh, store as a kid. Oh no, my poor wallet. And then the iconic 40K break as well.
It's a tale as old as time itself, right? Everyone takes a break of sorts for the most part. So you talked about it. So Tweek a little bit there. You talked about how you collected Dark Elder in the beginning and then played Space Wolves. So what do you generally play, Joker, as well? What armies do you collect? Do you collect a wide variety, or you are a faction specialist?
No, I tend to go for a variety more recently. So most recently I've been playing Chaos Knights, and then dabbing a little bit into Eldar as well, the Craft World flavor. Now I'm really just waiting for the Demon Codex to be released.
I mean, it's been 5-6 years or however long it's been since the old Chaos Demon Codex. So yeah, I feel for you, man. I feel for you. I think you and many other Chaos players are suffering in pain waiting for that Codex.
It's definitely been too long.
Is the Polish scene going to be sad when the Demons book comes out and it might remove the summoning mechanic? All the Chaos Knights players with their sideboard can't use it anymore?
Well, they'll have to adapt, right? But yeah, I mean, hopefully that stays, because it just gives a little bit more options for you to come up with different combos. I don't know, what have you. A bit more flexibility. So it's very nice to have in the Chaos armies, but we'll see.
Yeah, but the Polish Chaos players usually come from the ninth. What is it? The Warhammer Fantasy background. So they own the army, they love the demons, and they are just in pain that they cannot really field their favorite models. So if any book counts that is, on a mid-level, I'm sure people are going to play it just because they love the models and they would like to play something else than a cringy mechanic where you need to bring either 200 brimstones or spam plague bearers or something like that. So, any book at this point will be welcome, no matter what it is.
Oh, fantastic. So you talked about your player base before and said you didn't really know much about the community before. How many players are generally in Poland, like in your 40k scene? Is it like a big number or is it pretty small?
So I don't think the number is huge compared to some other communities because Joker, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's safe to say we have about 100 players tops that play regularly competitively that you see at events. And then you have sort of the bigger community that is interested, that follows, watches YouTube channels, that follows podcasts and so on. But the most competitive ones, I think, it would close up in 100 that you see regularly at tournaments and so on.
I mean, it depends. I think 100 is a bit generous. If you talk about people consistently going to GTs, let's call them, then there's probably around 40 tops. But then people playing locally in communities, etc., you'd probably go into that 100, 150 region.
Yeah, wow. So it's quite a small community in the grand scheme of things. But despite all that, you guys are obviously consistent in how you perform at the WTC, or what was known as the ETC, the number one overall rankings and stuff like that. So, and you sort of touched on a little bit there before, Tweek, in that you typically play WTC-based events. So, acknowledge us and tell us, do you guys prepare for this WTC all the time, or is it a big party window, or how do you guys do it? Is it, enlighten us.
So it's actually impressive if you think about it, because the entire competitive scene in Poland orbits around WTC and the WTC rule set. Somehow it happened that over the years it has become a tradition that people in Poland play those rules to help the team, whoever the members of the team might be, to prepare for the event. And the community, I think, in the last 2 years, thanks to, and I mean that, thanks to COVID, the community has become closer than ever before. So the entire community chips in, throws ideas at the team or the people who select the team members and so on. They test lists together, they test some ideas together. Now that we have the lists of foreign teams for the WTC, the entire community looks at those lists and tries to interpret them as to what do the players mean by that, what did they mean when they included this unit or this unit, and what is it supposed to do? When you look at Death Guard lists, for example, if there is something like a Plague Marine spam, which is, I think, a tactic that our national team did not really take into account as very competitive. But the problem is there might be something in it. So, people who play Death Guard have been consulted on, hey, what does this do? What does that do? And, and so on. So the community is very much focused on helping the team as much as possible.
Yeah. And was it on one of your recent episodes? I know I heard about it. Someone who in the team is, I think, overseas, right? And so they're not able to go on the Discords during the active time, and they'll ask some question. It's oh, what does this do? And then go to work or to sleep or something, and come back to the messages, and it's yeah, we did 3 practice games on TTS and all the other theory, and have 100 other messages. Is that was that from you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was when we had Typhus over. So he's a non-playing captain of the team, and he was, one of the people who actually selected the players who are going to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was his story.
Yeah, so basically, if you think about Typhus, or Typhus as we call him, he is the guy who puts in like a ton of work, and I mean a ton of work. Like the Polish competitive, I mean the most competitive players, especially the ones who aspire to the national team, who are part of the national team, and so on, they treat it like a job. So they put in an enormous amount of hours into preparation, into designing tactics, designing lists, playing together. And when I said COVID helped, I meant, COVID brought the community together thanks to Discord and thanks to TTS. So the guys are able now, before they would meet up in cities on the occasion of a tournament, which wasn't that frequent, and they would exchange ideas and so on, and maybe use the forum. Now it's like an ongoing, never-ending, real-time conversation with the people. I mean, you probably have the same, so you know what I mean. But we didn't have that pre-COVID. We used to stick to a single forum that wasn't very, lively, very energetic. Now it's a completely different story.
Yeah, I'm really familiar with that, not from 40K actually, but like high school competition stuff where, and some of it can be like if you have just a handful of like interested or really committed people in some hobby, or they can really like raise the level of competition. Like they'll show up and do really well, and everyone has to say, oh, this is what we need to do to sort of compete at that level. Is there that going on in Poland? Did that make sense?
So you're saying
I'm
like
just checking if Joker wants to say something.
I didn't quite get that. Sorry.
Like if you have a few really driven, dedicated players, they can raise the level of competition for everybody else, and if everyone tries to match that effort and level, it can lead to like the whole country doing a whole lot better, right? Is there?
Mhm.
There's some of that, like
Yeah.
you've got a few driven people for the like for ETC, WTC, and that's led to you guys being such a powerhouse.
I think recently that is a bit of a case, but mainly because of TTS exactly. So, we have ongoing online leagues like all the time, right? This each month there is a 4-round league, and the guys who play in the team, they also more often than not sign up. And especially when they're testing, you can generally play anyone. There's always someone willing to play, and it's also the people who are really good at the game. So I think it does elevate the skill of people in Poland in general, which can then definitely lead to a bit of a headache for the people choosing the team, because they've got so much choice, and it's one person can be better at a certain army that just got boosted than another one. So yeah, I think that is the case.
And I think, TTS and Discord opened up the national team to the public very much, because before it was, it almost seemed like a group of friends who know each other well from the tournaments. They just picked, people who were, I don't know, close to the top, or appeared at tournaments very often. Now it's completely different, because TTS allows not only to actually, as Joker said, face the guys who aspire to the national team and play with them. The national team, actually, it turns out they're a neat bunch of people who want the community to participate, and they want, they took Joker, for example, who showed like a competitive edge and wanted to be more competitive this year. They took him to one of the international sparrings that they played with. I think that was France or Ireland. And Joker just came as a team member, and he could witness and experience firsthand what it's like to almost play for the national team, because he just said, "Hey, can I try?" And they said, "Yeah, absolutely, do come and try it." So that's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. And having that sort of open process and allowing new people into the community and try things out just grows and grows and grows. And I'm sure just encourages people like, one day I will make this team, or I can make this team. And even if they don't make the team, obviously that standard of player increases so much. I know you guys always talk about players over the COVID era, and during TTS, their skill levels grew massively and rapidly because they were able to interact a lot with the Polish WTC team and the better players in Poland. So that sounds fantastic and a really positive and healthy community for sure.
Yeah, and you know, such easy access to the national team also, I would say, keeps everyone in check, because players want to be as good or aspire to be as good. They, anyone can come to boot camps that the national team organizes, and then the national team members would play. People would explain to them what went wrong, what could go better. They explain, the process of calculation, of predicting, how many points you're going to bring from a game or something like that. So it's like preparation for a team event. And even for us, for people who make podcasts, we cannot just go online and talk nonsense, because Typhus or Pumba are going to come to us and say, hey, that was absolutely atrocious. Don't say that. So we need to be, on our tippy toes to make sure we deliver the best content, because they will come to us and say, hey, that was not so good.
They'll call out you or Games Workshop or anyone they want.
Yeah, or they will simply stop coming. So.
And then we'll be laughing stock on the Discord. So yeah, we gotta watch
exactly.
what we say.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like you guys got your own coaching service. I mean, who needs Art of War, Glasshammer, Vanguard Tactics? You just go to the Polish Discord, eh? Just have to understand.
And it's for free.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Joker, you talked about a little bit earlier on that there were some challenges in collecting 40K in Poland. Do you care to elaborate why that is? Is it just the stock availability, or is it the price of things are just exorbitant for what is a niche hobby?
No, I think it was a price point, at least at that time for me. When you're a grown up with a job, then it's not. I mean, every hobby is expensive, let's be honest. So it's not that much different from whatever else you'd want to spend your free time and resources on. But yeah, it was tough as a kid, and I don't think stock's an issue, but it's hard to get something sometimes on the day of release, because I know we don't have games workshops around here. We've got like one in Warsaw only. So you really need to push your local gaming store to make sure they order the stuff and then hope it arrives on the day of release. Which isn't always the case with COVID and Brexit happening over the recent years. I think it's just that.
Yeah, so we don't have those FLGSs that people abroad talk about. We have smaller shops that try to survive. They order, as Joker said, they order miniatures, and order a lot of them at times. I mean, back in the day when Harlequins came out and Void Weavers and so on were a thing, then you could see some Instagram stories or posts of shops ordering like a ton of those that got sold out immediately. So yeah, but the access is so. If you have any like Forge World models, Forge World in Poland for a longer while was inaccessible, but also because WTC did not allow Forge World, so we didn't focus on that. Now that it's allowed, people are starting to venture into this, but again, the price tags on some of the things in Forge World are just beyond Joe Everyman's reach. So we are limited to an extent with that.
That is very relatable down here.
Yeah. Yeah, always preaching to the choir a little bit. It's like, yeah, and like it's good that your local stores are able to order things. Like sometimes here we get like still like our LGSs, they try and order say 10, 20 boxes of Void Weavers or Star Weavers, but they only receive 5 or can only get a fulfillment of 5 despite them ordering 10 to 20. So it just happens. But yeah, I get it. It's a niche hobby and sometimes you just can't get it.
Yeah, so again, I think this is a point where, for example, our national team tried to step in and help, because people do realize that when you want to be competitive, you don't need like the entire range of miniatures. You just need specific ones from the codex that do work. So I think there is one shop in Poland that is cooperating. I think they are like an official sponsor of the national team, and they are cooperating with the national team. So the national team members have been consulted on specific packages for like starter set for an army, and the guys from the national team would say, so for Necrons it would be, I don't know, Wraiths, whatever, Tomb Blades, whatever else is competitive, and the shop would just bundle that together and would sell it like a 1,000 point starter set of just the competitive thing. So
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so that's an idea that
along with the list with traits, relic, and what have you to actually run it well in the best way possible, according to one of the guys or the person from the team that could put that bundle together, so to say.
Yeah, so to be like, here, if you want to like have a competitive 1,000-ish point thing, buy this.
Exactly.
Like, or just package up like the right boxes from. So here's your Harlequins, like 1,000 point thing here. 6 boxes of Void Weavers, because you can't take 9 at this point.
Almost.
Right?
Yeah. That's exactly it. So I don't know, for Renegade Knights or Imperial Knights, you would probably get one big knight and 4 small ones that would give you. Well, I'm just inventing numbers
just
here, but
all the war dogs done.
Yeah, so 5 in one set and 5 in another, just run 10 or 13.
Furies for summoning, don't forget that.
Oh, yeah. And here's like, we broke up the Warcry box set, so you've got some Furies. And here's one Herald of Slaanesh, and his like buddy, what's the Nurgle, Beast of Nurgle, right? Because that matches the.
You'll get that one person start. Yeah, you'll get that one person starting Renegade Knights, and then the LGSN will just dust off all the old Chaos Demon boxes and bring them out. It's like, what? I ordered Chaos Knights, all these little demons.
Yeah, but that is what happens. They actually, they take bits and bobs, from different sets and make one big set that you can buy for like 1K PLN or 1.5K, and then you get your 1,000 points ready to play. So.
If you arrange 5 War Dog boxes in a summoning circle, you too can get some free Chaos Demons.
Pretty much.
Fantastic. So obviously you guys play a lot within Poland, it sounds like, on TTS and stuff like that, and meet up in person. But do you guys get to travel outside of Poland much? Do you go try to neighboring countries like Germany and France and Belgium? Do you try and travel across a little bit?
Well, personally, we've only been to Prague, to the Prague Open before COVID in 2019. Yeah, in 2019. Well, actually, apparently we can say that. So we are going to the London Grand Tournament at the end of September.
To do media coverage, not to play.
Or doing coverage, unfortunately, not playing. But yeah, I mean, the guys travel fairly often. I mean, there's been like 5 players from Krakow and Prague this year, which they've managed to win. There's also been a couple of guys in the Netherlands in March, I think, for a 6-man team tournament.
And they also won.
Yeah. So time and time again, people do travel. There were also 4 people that went to the Austrian tournament in what was it, in April? The Alpine Cup, I think it was. It's run by Ishik, so the guy who's also running the WTC, or at least one of the guys.
And we have Zozo in the chat, and he just said, yeah, they haven't lost the Winter Team Championship since 5 years. So that's also an event that the national team members or aspirants go to, and we usually have like more than one team. So yeah, that also sits with us.
It probably helps the Winter Team Championship hasn't happened for like 2 or 3 years, but yeah, the guys do have a streak, so.
Yeah,
mine.
Yeah, well, is it England are the 3-time ETC champions? It's fine. Just don't worry about the actual factual behind it,
No, 3 years reigning champ.
3
but,
years
like,
only
yeah,
after one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, with a little American next to the asterisk, but we'll discard that, So, yeah, that's fantastic. So, obviously, you guys just dominate everywhere, hey? Just go attend some local European countries and just take over and win all the tournaments.
Basically, the Polish community and the Polish national team treats this game very seriously, like very, very seriously. So one thing is the entire community chips in, but the second thing is the guys just want to win stuff. They have a great appetite for winning. They have immense skill. They put in the hours, they put in the reps, and they just don't accept not winning. So whenever they go, they just want to end up first. That's it. That's the appetite.
Yeah, so fantastic. I mean, hey, winner's going to win, right? Exactly. So you guys talked about, obviously, you focused yearly about this WTC, and obviously we have Christoph in the chat talking about they won every single winter team championship, just crushing it. So what makes the Polish meta so unique, you think? Is it because of this focus on WTC? Is it this camaraderie and that you've developed and the building all working towards the Polish team? Or is there something else that we haven't covered that you think makes it so unique?
Joker, do you want to go first?
I mean, I think it's a bit of both. Generally, I think especially now you can see that in the US they play out the events a little bit differently, with the GW terrain setups, and we obviously play only the WTC terrain pack. So I think that does make a bit of a difference. And yeah, I think also that camaraderie that you've mentioned. I mean, everyone, whenever a new book's released or something, just the, faction experts, so to say, they're all over that specific release and just mashing different ideas and then testing it right out. So we often at least get the impression that, a while after something's been released, a certain unit or build becomes meta, whereas it already appeared over here. So it's good to see. I mean, it's a bit, encouraging, so to say. But I don't think there's anything else really, at least in terms of being better at the game.
So I agree in great portion with what Joker says. We play WTC all year long. We don't play anything else. So if other countries play on GW terrain or ITC terrain or something like that, and they have to switch over to the specific WTC terrain style, where, for example, 50 millimeter base models cannot get on floors or something, but you do get pictures from like ITC events where you had in the past, I don't know, Hive Guard sitting on higher floors and so on. We look at those media coverages and we're like, that wouldn't flow in the WTC or something like that. So that's one thing. And the second thing, I think our national team, the captain, people, coaches and so on, they are at this point in their lives where they focus only on team events. Like, they despise singles events. They don't think that singles events are an indicator of anything. I mean, you can take a team's list to a singles event to practice, but that's all the single events are good for. So it's like they don't even enjoy the games themselves during team events that much. What they enjoy is everything around it. So it's collecting intel, doing the pairings, checking lists, and all that. Also this meta thing around the team events. And I think this is what makes it maybe different to other countries, because in here, the guys who are really devoted and really want to be part of the national team, they focus on team events only. So that's what makes them stand out.
Get to WTC and go, whoa, yeah, pairing. Oh, now we've got to go beat up all the Art of War guys because we paired against Team America.
Oh, they are about that, actually, because there's like, where do I start with this one? So,
oh no.
I mean, I don't mean to throw shade at all, but the Americans, it's like with wrestling. They created their own federation, and they have the audacity to say, this is the world tag team or the world champion. World of what? Like, have you played the Polish guys? Have you played the other guys? No, it's like so they do the same with Warhammer 40K. I feel like when you hear best players in the world or now coaching or something like that, well, we have something to say about that as well.
Yeah.
All right. It's the American way. Yeah. Sorry. So you go, Towse.
Yeah. No. What was the recent rankings thing that came out? That was like or the top 20. I assume was it Goonhammer had put the article out? I saw some. It's like the top 20, but it was voted by only people in America, I think.
So,
and it was only North America.
Yeah, and they look like they look at ITC mainly in their own rankings that, for example, the Polish players don't participate in because we play a different system. I don't know if people from Spain, Germany are in there. I don't think so, and those are respectable teams as well. French people, so world champions, I beg to differ.
Yeah.
That's the American way, though, Tweek. It's like, as you said, that the baseball, it's the World Championship of Baseball. It's only the American teams that play. Yeah. The ITC is the International Tournament Circuit or Tournament Circuit?
It was independent, and then they changed the I at some point to international.
Yeah.
I think that was when the people from the UK started having super majors and then took over the top 3.
Yep.
It is now, so at least it's a bit more international, but... Anyways, we're being a bit sidetracked.
Oh yeah, we're off topic.
As usual. So obviously, you guys focus a lot on competitive games, and when you hear competitive games, you maybe don't focus on the hobby side of things. But is there a big hobby emphasis in Poland in getting some nice, nicely painted armies, or is it all just get it battle ready, get it ready onto the table, and go?
I think it's closer to the latter. We usually have a small best painted award during each of the GTs, but it's nothing much. There isn't really that much emphasis. Obviously, there are some people that really enjoy it, and the armies that you sometimes see are really great looking from the hobby side, but we're mostly focused on just the game itself.
Do you have you go, Tweek.
I just wanted to say, we have the Polish team championships, which is outside of any league, outside of any anything that counts points at the end of the year. And that event, gathers usually between 100 and 150 people, and there you must have a painted army, you must have full Wizweek, and people want to come to that event. Everyone wants to be there. So, but when you prepare for that, you paint your army, and then you have a painted army, I guess. But other than that, people do the necessary minimum to just be allowed to field something, and that's it, because they focus more on the competitive aspect.
No,
we have amazing painting studios in Poland that people use, but again, those are mainly focused on people from abroad, I think, rather than the Polish people.
Yeah, and because the community isn't that big and the hobby isn't that popular, we kind of need to compromise as to also, just have that modeling standard, but also get as much people coming to events as possible and get them tournament going. And just setting the bar too high is apparently something that would discourage some people from coming. So it's we need to do a bit of balancing on that end.
Yeah, but on the other hand, there are purists in the community who, like everywhere, the hobby is becoming more and more popular. GW is doing a lot to increase the publicity, and so are we. There are now podcasts, there are YouTube channels, people, random people on the internet like ourselves start a channel, and there you go. And there is footage of tournaments, and you see unpainted terrain, for example. And there are more and more people who are why is this unpainted? I mean, well, you're broadcasting, so maybe this should be of a higher standard. So, we are getting there, but it's, as Joker said, the community is fairly slow, and the competitive community is okay with unpainted terrain as long as it's practical. So we will get there probably, but you need to put in the hours, you need to put in the effort, you need to put in the money into that. And if you can play on practical terrain, we will play on practical terrain rather than painted terrain.
Especially that, nobody here does this professionally, so there aren't really any funds to get it done. So it's just, whether the community chips in, that's as much as we have.
Not yet, anyway. It's maybe the Polish Discord coaching service coming to you sometime soon. Maybe one day. Maybe. So I think it would be remiss to mention. So obviously the WTC is at this time of recording in just under 2 weeks away. So teams from all around the world traveling to Belgium here in a couple of days, actually, funnily enough. So one commenter asked. So obviously you guys have a good look through the lists, and one of the things that have been mentioned is Magnus. So Magnus is appearing in a couple of teams lists. Obviously Poland, I don't believe, has Magnus in their list. I believe. Tiff is saying Thousand Suns are trash in WTC. So why do you think Magnus is there? Have the Polish missed on Magnus and Thousand Suns, maybe? Or is it something that should be summoned? Maybe
is there to do nothing wrong, Sam?
To summon Magnus. Who knows? I don't think he can, but
No, I mean, I don't really see too much of a place for Thousand Suns in general. And Magnus, having just received a 30-point decrease, also I don't think it really brings him up to par, especially that he can't even do his own secondary objective, the Wrath of Magnus one, so the powers that he casts don't count.
He's not as angry.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's specifically written in the secondary objective that you need to get off more powers than your opponent of each specific kind, but powers that are cast by Magnus the Red do not count to this objective. And it's called Wrath of Magnus, so yeah, there you have it. Either way, yeah, I still think that Thousand Suns don't really have good secondary picks. You kind of need to count on the fact that you paired against someone that also has some psychic powers going on for that secondary objective specifically, as it's all right. But then having lost Stranglehold to the last, it's kind of tough, I'd say. That's also what the guys are saying, so I don't think they're going to miss this faction in general. Is Magnus good now? I think that there's way too much shooting going on, and he just kind of lacks, a sweep profile to have a little bit more of, flexibility. So yeah, I'd love to run Magnus as well, because I do have quite a lot of Thousand Suns around the house scattered, but my Magnus has been sitting in a box for the past year, and I don't think he's coming out soon.
Gathering dust like the rest of these Thousand Suns friends, right?
Yeah.
Gathering dust? You mean amassing forces?
There we go. Sorry, I had to put all his dust joke in there, right? Surely.
You made me go look for the secondary too. It's in the book.
Oh, fantastic. So obviously you guys play WC all the time, all the FAQs and packs. What's your, name one of your favorite things about the pack and one of your least favorite things? Starting with you, Tweek.
The favorite things about the WTC pack?
Or what's your favorite thing and what's your least favorite thing about the rules pack or the terrain setup?
I think that the terrain itself is something that I really like. The rules around it. I think this is, again, if you play nothing else but WTC, just get used to that terrain. And this is again something that pushes the entire community to match that standard. So I think this. Other things, some of the rulings I've seen, like for example, whether the Silent King can, whether his menhirs or his whatever those things are can be revived and so on. I think those rulings were okay. while the ITC did something completely different, and they went with yes, you can. I don't think that should be the case. So some of the rulings are okay. I think the WTC rulings are basically done in consultancy with the captains of national teams. So that's the most important bit for me, that there are people who are like power users of the game, power users of the army, and they can actually tell the organizers what's good, what's bad, what should be ruled out, and what shouldn't. So that's the thing that I like the most. The thing that I like the least, I think, it's supposed to be an accessible thing, but I think this is one of the most expensive WTCs that we had in history. And for your guys, I mean, I can't remember, Sam, if it was you or whether it was Denise that I was talking to about the cost of like getting there. So for you guys in Australia, that must be that is immense. And then on top of that, the cost of the event itself. That's something that probably I don't like, and personally, I wouldn't be probably able to afford. So that's my downside of the event. I don't know about Joker.
I fully agree, I think. I mean, I love the terrain pack, maybe not all the terrain layouts, but the terrains in general, I think, add some more tactics to the game, so to say. It influences list building, and the game is more strategic in general, in my opinion. Obviously, the FAQ patches some things where you might end up just having a discussion, a never-ending discussion with an opponent at the table, whereas you just have something that is at least close to rules as written. Although some of the rulings, obviously, I don't always like, though I can't think of a particular one that would really, be a pain in the backbone right now. And I did consider at some point maybe attending the singles event or debate, trying to do coverage at the event. But the cost is just, it's a bit much for it to be, a hobby exercise of this sort. Obviously, being in the team would be a bit more motivating, but just as a funsies trip to experience the event, it's a bit much.
Yeah, it's definitely like a big cost, and as you mentioned, Tweek. So probably definitely talking to Denise, but it's easily, I'm just guessing, like at least 10,000 Australian dollars to properly make it over there and back. Like it's an expensive trip, and for the most part, I believe most people do make a big holiday of it. So they stay like a month or so behind, or a couple of weeks behind, and explore like Eastern Europe, or traditionally like in Serbia and Greece, stuff like that. Explore more of Eastern Europe, but now it's based in Belgium, and we'll be there for the next 2 years after this one. Like I'm sure they'll explore more of, like Western Europe. So yeah, but enjoy it. So, and I think for like a lot of guys, it's a good time to enjoy it and get excuse to go over to Europe. So. And sometimes it might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, yeah. But it is expensive. It is definitely expensive to go, for sure. So, I know Anthony Vanilla on Stats Check was talking about it's costing $5,000 to even make it from the US to over. And he's like, I won't be doing this again unless we win the whole WTC. So,
yeah, exactly.
So, obviously, Anthony's shot his shot, said USA might win it. Who are some of your top favorites for WTC? Obviously, Poland might be number one, but who are some probably people who you would expect to be on the podium or close to it?
I guess we need to start with saying that there is, huge respect in the Polish national team. At least, after listening to the Polish podcast, speaking to some of the players, there is huge respect towards other teams, and there is. If you wanted me to describe the mood in the team after seeing the lists, analyzing them, and so on, I would say it's the one word to describe it would be caution. There is no one is overly confident or anything, just because some of the teams and army compositions and lists are weird. If you take Germany, for example, I think Germany has one of the most inventive and creative lists you've seen out there. And if you look at Fred's list, by the way, hi Fred, if you're listening to this, if you look at Fred's list, the list is bonkers. It's like, which year is it? when you look at it.
Is that the Tyranids one?
No, it's the Drukhari one. So he has a mixture of so many things in that list that it's hard to make sense out of it. So it could be just a mad mind designing the list, or there could be some idea behind it. So German lists are probably among the ones that are the most creative and ones that you have to be cautious about. Obviously, England, Spain, France probably as well. I mean, all the teams have something that you have to be cautious about. So I wouldn't nominate one team, but yeah, we worry a lot about other teams.
Yeah, and even though we do a lot of throwing around the feces and trash talk and banter, like Tweek said, there is a lot of respect for the other players, especially the ones that are mentioned. I think that also a team that cannot be ignored is the Warhammer Undivided team, as it's got a couple of players from Russia that are obviously also pretty good. They've also got one Poland there who also plays at a very high level. So maybe they can shake things up a bit. And despite what we say, obviously, USA are not to be ignored as well.
And again, in different teams, there are individuals that we know, that we respect. In this from Scotland, or any other team might have like a star or two that we know, that we respect, that we are cautious about. So it's really hard to name a favorite. Anyone can win this at this stage.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like it's anyone's game, and we'll just have to watch BCP and refresh, as sadly there's no streams, and just watch the media coverage as we see who comes out on top or who's battling it out. And so we have one question in the chat that's from Christoph. So I have a question. So I assume this must be related to you guys. So are there people already invited for the tournament you guys are making at the end of the month? Is this something Contact Lost is creating, or in Poland there's a tournament being created, or...
I'm trying to understand the question.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all good. It's all right. Maybe type it again in the chat, Christoph, and then we can highlight it again.
Oh, you mean because we okay? We here in the north of Poland, as I mentioned, we have this tournament that we organize on a yearly basis, like a GT, and I think Joker is the main organizer of that. So we created Joker created an event pack. He created a trailer for people to see and to come, and there was an ambition for people from abroad to also come to the event. So I think Zozo is asking about this specifically, if there are any guests invited or anything like that. So Joker, I'll throw you under the bus for this one.
I mean, guests invited. Everyone's invited to come. In terms of people from abroad, I could joke that Danny's coming, but he's obviously living locally in Poland. And apparently he's trying to nag some people to come over, but so far I haven't had any foreigner actually sign up, unfortunately.
Not yet, unless someone just gets lost abroad during WTC and just wanders their way into the north of Poland for their tournament. So you never know. Just
hide some passports and shoes, and then
we hope nothing like that happens. But if it happens, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! So we have some questions from the listeners of the Discord, so the Best in Tabletop Discord. We had the one, the only Ines A. Wilson of Twitter. So you mentioned before some of the biggest threats, and you're sort of acknowledging a lot of them. But who do you think is the biggest threat at WTC? Like, you have to name one person. Who's the biggest threat? Would it be Germany, or is it the Australians? I mean, come on, give us some respect, Tweek. Come on, buddy.
I mean, if you want me to talk about Australia, I hadn't, it's going to be a little bit sidetracked, but I had this intention to create like a podcast league back in the day. I think it was around February, when I was reaching to different podcasts to have our podcast defeat all the other podcasts. And I among others, I spoke to Denise from T&D. I spoke to Nick Nanavati. I spoke to some other guys, and they were all interested. Just life came in the way, and it didn't happen. But yeah, I wanted us to face different flavors of Australian players and see how we fare. So again, there is a great lot of respect. I know some of the names from the Australian team. Eric Lathoris, Denise, I think, is not playing this time. He's a coach. But many players in Australia who play on the highest level. I know Adam Camilleri is in the mercenary team, so you never know what he comes up with. I don't even know right now if he brings Dark Angels, his favorite, or Guard, or anything else. But you need to give that guy some credit, and he is also very good. But if we name one, I think it's going to be England, just because their lists are probably the most competitive, the most dangerous, or so they seem. I would consider the United States. However, I know there has been some mix-up with their players. I think their coach needed to step in for one of the players, so maybe they don't have the most optimal setup that they wanted to have. So I would stick with England as being probably the most competitive. Definitely, like in the recent soccer or football, the proper football World Cup, they want to say it's coming home. And we are going to deny that from them.
Shame. Joker,
Outstanding.
Joker, do you have any other names, or you think England's the one?
Well, if England's been taken, I'm actually going to go for Spain, purely because they do a lot of team playing. They have like a 700-man team event that sells out instantly. So that's like big wow. And they've also been playing the guys on TTS quite often, and it's not always been going well for us. So I'm going to go with Spain.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, too funny. So we had also another question from Innes, and we also had from Tim the Sorcerer. So was there like a list that was just on the cusp of making submission, or maybe entering testing, that just didn't make it, that you guys know of? Like, was there something random and wacky which was so close to making it but just didn't make it?
I believe the guys would have taken Blood Angels if not for the release of the Imperial Knights FAQ. Because without the FAQ, the army would not be allowed at the WTC, but because the FAQ was released, they've opted to take Knights as they were, allowed.
And to be honest, the wacky lists are the ones that actually made it in. So, like, if you look at our Tyranids, you have 36 warriors without any Hive Tyrants. That is a wacky list, if you think about it. Our Knights, I would say they're unique compared to any other Knights, because nobody else took that household that we took, and there is some secret tech in that nobody else brought or nobody else figured out. So I would say that the wackiest lists are there, and Blood Angels, I think there was a discussion whether it should be Tyranids or Blood Angels. Blood Angels just don't have as many good pairings that the Tyranids do. The Tyranids list is purely mathematical, but it has more good matchups than bad matchups. And Blood Angels have some hard counters that the team didn't want to risk facing. So at the end of the day, they didn't take Blood Angels. But even if they did, I know that Pumbaa probably would get that army, and he would be playing it. And he had some interesting concepts around, I think, Sanguinor, that can do like this angelic something. I can't remember the name of the
he can heroic from reserve, I think, and then like and base contact thing, then force people to attack him. Yeah,
exactly.
Shout out to Chris in Scotland running him.
Exactly. That I wanted to say that. So 150 points of denying you fighting wherever you want to fight because you need to target that guy. So those sorts of ideas were there, but they were left behind because the team just wanted to maximize the potential of the team composition.
I do know it was cool seeing the Polish Chaos Knight list ran 2 super heavy detachments because it doesn't like they've got all the dogs and it's going to cost 3 CP anyway. That was really cool.
Yeah, and it also gives you another character without spending additional CPs, which you want for the summoning.
Yeah. So
There
like,
you go. It's secret tech from the Polish and understanding. Blind obviously, all of the other teams do take Blood Angels, but Polish know best. They know something there. So happy days. So we've been remiss to say that obviously you guys are from Contact Lost. So it's a Polish podcast about the Polish community, but it's obviously spoken all in English. So everyone should go have a listen to it. So what is your podcast about? Like, what's the fundamentals? Is it just covering Poland, or is it supposed to be covering something else? And I know you guys don't just do a podcast; you do some other videos as well.
We ventured into different things, but at the core, it was supposed to be a podcast about the Polish and international competitive scene. In time, the ambition grew, and we just want to prove to the world that there is something outside of the American podcast and social media coverages and so on, and the world exists outside of the United States, I guess. And we invite people from different countries. We have people from the UK. We had people from Australia. We have people from Germany. So if only time allows, we try to talk to as many people from different countries as well. And then,
I might need to jump and be upset there because you had David from New Zealand on last episode.
Yeah. Or one of the last episodes. Yeah, exactly. So it's becoming more and more international, and then myself and Joker, we are just hobby enthusiasts that try to stay up to date with the meta, which is becoming more and more difficult. But then it's really the guests who make the podcast. So either the guys from abroad that I mentioned, or our national team members, that they are actually the guys who bring the content. We just squeeze it out of them. So if you want to listen to some of the top Polish players and their vision and approach to the meta and so on, give us a go. Joker, did I miss anything?
Is it? Oh, Joe can go.
No, actually, I think you've described it quite well. So we're trying to expand somewhat. So we'll be doing that coverage at the LGT. So hoping that proves worthwhile, and we're also trying our hand at doing battle reports recently, but it's really just a bit of fun rather than actual professionalism so far, at least.
Don't sell yourself short there. Don't sell yourself short there. You guys are amazing. Go check them out, guys. They're the best content ever made, except for this network, of course. Like, we're the best, but like second tier. But you're there.
Is Contact Lost just you two, but then you pretty regularly have the Polish? There's not another host?
So it's not only YouTube. I mean,
you too, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
So, I think we lost Joker because he has a client call that he needs to attend right now. So, some professional obligations. So it's just me now. No, it's not just us. It's also one more guy that you might have seen in some battle reports, and I think he even has his own segment that he tries to create. A guy called Vitalis, who is our local friend here, also one of the more competitive guys in the north of Poland. So he has the video skills to edit stuff that we record, and then I have let's call them audio skills and so on. So we try to combine it and come up with some extra segments to diversify. So I have my late night week thing. He has his the competitive casual. Joker is busy with work and family, so he doesn't have his own segment, but then he is a regular on the Contact Lost, the main podcast. So and then anyone who comes, the guests, I think abroad they are regarded as part of Contact Lost, and if they want to call themselves that, I'm fine with that.
The reason I asked is because like Typhus and Duda, is it?
Among others.
They seem on so regularly that I essentially assumed they were also part of your. They seem like they're functionally like honorary hosts.
You could say that. I mean, Typhus, Pumba, Duda, and Vladi probably are the four people who come to the podcast the most often. They are, they're very outspoken. They are willing to share their knowledge and so on. And yeah, you could call them honorary members of the cast. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Fantastic. So obviously you guys create some, I guess, non-westernized 40K content. What are some of the challenges in creating that? Or do you find it pretty natural in creating it?
So it comes naturally, especially, as I said, the guests make up the content. We invent a theme, and then we invite people who are the most suiting for the theme, and they come and we discuss and have some banter around it. The biggest challenge, I guess, just the saturation on the internet of content, and you really need to have something specific and outstanding to break through. So I think advertising it as, the Polish one with the Polish approach, with the Polish national team, is that thing that other podcasts cannot really boast because it's ours. But it is challenging. As I said, there is so much good content right now, with everyone having access to the internet, everyone having access to good players being open and wanting to discuss. Sometimes it's like competing about, tournament winning players with other podcasts and so on. And we get denied by some of the celebrities in the community just because on the day when we want to record with them, they are already recording something of their own or recording something with someone else. So that is one of the biggest challenges, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. The life of content creation, right, Tweek? So before
exactly. Fighting for the views.
So before we wrap up, Tweek, do you have any final parting words or final shout outs or anything like that?
So yeah, I would like to shout out our national team, and I would like to thank them for bringing the community together, because I think this is something that happened in the last 2 years, and they've done an amazing job. I really hope that they do get to win, because that would be like a reward not only to the team members, but also everyone around the team, people who consulted, people who helped, people who came to the boot camps and so on. So it would be like an all-national victory. And then again, I'm just hoping for a good, fair, fun tournament that people are going to enjoy, and that we're going to see some, good content about afterwards. So, podcasts, list analysis, and so on and so on. Because there seems to be a lot of amazing material in there. So I hope it goes well. I hope the rightful team wins. And we can all meet again afterwards and say it was an amazing tournament, and we're looking forward to the next year.
All the podcasts breaking down the Poland versus Australia finals.
It would be awesome, and even if it doesn't happen, it could be arranged on TTS afterwards. So if it doesn't happen at the venue, it can happen online. No problem. We can arrange it.
Happy days. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tweek, and thank you, Joker, for your time. Really, really appreciate it. And if you guys want to follow Contact Loss, all of the information is down below in the description. Thanks again, and looking forward to catching up with you in the not too distant future, hopefully via TTS or in person when we both make the WTC team. There you go.
Absolutely.
We'll get there, buddy.
Thanks for having us.
No worries. All right. Thanks, everyone. You have a wonderful day. And we're back. Thank you to Tomek and Tweek. Yeah, sorry, Tomek and Tweek are the same people. So we started Tomek and Joker, Michal, and Tomek.
Right?
There we go.
Michal.
There we go. The beautiful people of Contact Lost. Hope you enjoyed the interview, guys. Really appreciate them having on. If you haven't listened to Contact Lost before, want to watch some of their battle reports or anything, the links to them are in the description down below. And greatly appreciate you supporting those guys, because they do a lot of great work. But bringing on to some of the questions, we have some pre-prepared. So,
wait, did we have another segment we were going to do, Sam? Or
no, we don't. No, we don't.
No? Okay, cool.
I said it's a lighter show.
We know what we're doing
based on everyone running around right before. So
it's all good. So the question I proposed to you guys, and we'll chuck it in the description for everyone. So we recently saw an outcry and rage. Well, this is going to pop up really loud. We recently saw an outcry and rage regarding the Horus Heresy space with upgrade sprues. How would you ruin another Warhammer army with an upgrade sprue? We'll start with you, Mr. Alex. How would you ruin another army with an upgrade sprue?
Besides the Space Wolf one, because that one's really bad and it makes me angry every time I look at it. Just that again, but maybe you do like a lizard head for salamanders. I mean, I feel like that's tone deaf enough that we can do that. No, it's I am again blinded by rage on who thought that was the head we needed to go with. Could have done like Viking horns or something. I don't know. It would have been better. No, I think how could you ruin another one? It's funny. It's funnier, and this isn't as bad, but I've definitely seen third-party Cadians with cat ears, but they're modeled onto the helmets. And the reason I know this is back when the Loyal 32 was a thing, I had a buddy build a Loyal 32 using those helmets and give that to our Space Wolf player. So I know those exist, and they were third parties. So maybe if we made them first, that would do it.
Oh, I love that so much.
Oh, actually, I know. It's easy. Unhelmeted Thousand Suns heads. There we go. It's just you just leave the divot in and you're fine. And yet that's still better than the actual dog helmet that they gave to the Heresy stuff. I'm sorry, Heresy players. They hate you.
I don't understand that. So that one helmet that they posted that then people turned into the meme where all of the different bits of the armor, like the feet were the dog heads. Is that what everyone's upset about? That they did that?
Yes, they put the helmet that has little speakers in the ear. Somebody went in and was like, "Yeah, this is really good. We're gonna make this look ultra realistic." And they put grills in the little ears. It actually has teeth. I'm like, what are you doing? The unhelmeted head looks really good. They got that Viking part down really well. I just don't know why we went with a dog costume helmet for the rest of the faction.
Oh, okay. You can buy shoulder pads and the helmet separately. Is that right?
Yeah, you can get the shoulder pads separate. You don't need to buy the heads to get the shoulder pads.
Okay, that's not that bad. The only problem is if you want there's one non-helmeted head with the mutton chops thing going on.
Yeah, that one's fine.
I guess you could buy one of them and use the head to mark your squad sergeants, right?
Yeah, you could. You could use the Hugh Jackman Wolverine helmet head as your squad leader. That can work fine.
Or I meant you could have all the normal armored dudes and then the ones with the wolf head or the squad, whatever. Anyway.
Well, it makes sense because it's supposed to replace the beaky helmet, so I think they're still trying to keep that profile. Because I know, I'm actually very excited for the Emperor's Children upgrade sprue to come out because I like that helmet. And the Palatine helmet they're including in there is really good. So it's meant just to replace the beakies. It's not meant to replace the rest of the upgrade stuff. Giant clown shoes for Harlequins would be pretty good. I don't know why you'd be putting that on your head, but it's whatever. The Dark Sadith is a strange place. We don't like to go there.
Sam, did you have an answer to that question? Because I've definitely got an answer for the question.
Go ahead, Towse. Go crazy.
I just so I was going to use this just as a joke answer, and then Alex reminded me that oh wait, it was actually a thing that existed. And I'm sure Alec will harass me for this, but I was going to say, have it been upgrade sprue cast in failcast resin, and that's the only way you can get it. That would be how you could ruin a faction. And then you pointed out, oh yeah, Emperor's Children, Noise Marines. Only way you could make Noise Marines was get Chaos Marines and fine cast backpacks and Sonic Blasters.
Oh hey, the sergeant head mat that's screaming is great because you can only model him looking at the sky. Yeah, that upgrade sprue's fine.
Wait, which one? Oh, was that that same
There's a sergeant one with the speaker in the mouth, and the way the neck is modeled, he has to look up the whole time. There's no way to get him to look forward.
Oh, okay. Well, classic. Dude, yeah, the Emperor's Children heads look pretty cool. That's neat.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Ruin a faction. The failcast is a very good option. And when you're talking about the third-party heads, I know looking at all sisters options, there's always chibi heads and very alternative heads, which is just anime girl sort of style. That's a bit different.
Wait, when you say chibi heads, you mean Funko Pops, the big square blocky things?
There's some of them, but there's the eyes are just manga massive eyes, very anime influence sort of eyes.
Yeah.
So
just plain Infinity. That's what that's for. You don't need to add that to another faction.
Or if you do need to add it to another faction, it already exists. It's called Towse.
That's true. I think a simple one is obviously, and no, it's very cliche, but just adding a chaos icon to a Dark Angels upgrade sprue, and just people losing. I know it's very soft, but I think that's a solid one. And just people just go, what? So
I mean, Forge World did
fine.
do that. It was really funny.
It's like that's safe territory, Sam. It's like real gold, fool's gold, comedy gold. Comedy gold is just like calling Dark Angels chaos players.
There was some Forge World Rhino upgrade that actually had an 8-pointed star on it. And it was for Dark Angels, and if you squinted a little bit at it, you're like, wait a second, Luther did this.
Corporate wants you to find the difference between these two pictures. Yep. Have we beaten this one to death, Sam? Are you going to move us on?
we have.
Alrighty.
But you know what we haven't beaten to death is Chaos Demons. And so the question we have is, what is one thing that will happen first before the Chaos Demon Codex drops? I.e. 10th edition, free rules, a GW event in Australia, Sam plays a non-S tier faction. What's going to happen first? Well,
we know that last one's never happening.
Yeah, it's pretty true.
Wait, Alex, you go first.
All right, I'll take
put you
this.
on the spot.
I fully believe in the absolutely worst timeline here is that we're going to see a League of Votann collector army box that's going to have huge distribution issues. That army will technically be released. So there's going to be a bunch of codexes and small collections of units floating around for Votann. And then demons will come out, and then Votann will be after that. Because that maximizes suffering around the demon codex, which is what GW needs to do to make that powerful.
Dude, on that note, I've got the answer. I'm just going to slip in and deny it to Sam. I've got the answer for Down Under is we're going to see a Codex Chaos Demons FAQ before the Codex Chaos Demons Codex is available for sale in Australia and New Zealand.
I like the version of that where it's like one of the old Spacewell codexes. They realized there was an error before the book was out. So we had a one-page PDF that replaced the Warlord traits before the book launched.
Dude, okay, yeah, and to go back to WTC stuff, right? And because I know the captains vote for whether or not to allow new CSM into that thing, and Aussie voted against it, so they wanted to leave old Chaos Space Marines as the thing that you could take to WTC. Because one of the guys, I can't remember who, wanted to run the 60 possessed list, and then the new Chaos book comes out, the match play data slate drops, and they remove Death to the False Everyone because that was a data slate patch. And GW doesn't care about the WTC. They're going to remove that from their data slate. So Aussie voted no because they wanted to bring the old book list that worked. And then the thing that made it work broke. Yeah.
GW will also do an Australia event, but it's going to be in Perth to make it as inconvenient for the rest of Australia to attend.
You triggered Sam.
We do live in the worst possible timeline, so that would only be fair. What would I guess I can't say anymore that we will tune into get a new model because we did get the Parasite and Mortrex, but.
Yeah, that's your one. You've got it.
Yeah, we got it. Wait another 5-10 years, then we'll get another one.
Hey, look, you've got all the community 3D printed scythes for the Reaper of Obliterax. That basically counts as a new model as well.
Yeah, and then we'll go up in the chat. So LRL, so Lumineth Realm Lords for AOS get their third codex before Demons gets theirs, which is pretty fair. So for people that don't know, every single year, an annual tradition, Lumineth Realm Lords get their new codex. Why? Who knows? It just happens. So
they're high elves. They're better than you. They need a new book every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So, and then Tim in the chat talking about Perth is where the most pommies are, so that makes sense. Got to see everyone out there, right?
Well, that means it's not going to happen, right? Because GW doesn't do things that make sense.
Believe.
Okay.
Come on. Believe. But also, along the same line of believing, we have Tim in the chat asking, what faction would you bring to Team Oz, Sam? Honestly, if I ever had the chance to make Team Australia, it would be an awesome opportunity and privilege. I'd play whatever the hell I'm given. my philosophy as a team player is I'll always go under the bus or do whatever's left over. Like I want to be a team player fundamentally. I'll play whatever army is necessary. So that's just my role.
I do agree. Sam's philosophy is that he'll play whatever army.
As long as it's on the S tier. That's how I'll play whatever army. But yes, yeah. Ideally, of course, Tyranid. Tyranid is my first love, and I adore playing them. But yeah, I'll play whatever. Except Space Marines. Fuck Space Marines. They're so boring.
Dude, hang on. You're playing like full Leviathan warriors, and you're like Space Marines are boring.
True.
I can get bugs are kind of fun, but like just here's the warriors. I'm definitely not like still chatting a bit of shit because I couldn't roll 4s against these guys when we played, and Sam just like wrecked me royally. But
Okay, but go around the crowd. Like, Towse, what would you bring if you made the WTC? What army would you try and bring?
Like for Team New Zealand, probably Custodes or Knights, like one of those two, because I don't know if there's masses of. I'm assuming this is for New Zealand, right? So like, I think I'm probably up there as one of the better players for at least one of those sort of 3 factions, if we were including Chaos Knights. So like, yeah, probably one of them, because it's what I've got. It's what I've practiced with. Yeah, boring answer, but you know.
Alex, what would you bring?
So Custodes right now. I mean, if they pointed a gun at me today and said you're playing for Team Korea, again, there's not a world where I play for Team USA. So if I got told I was playing for Team Korea, I'd probably try and play what I've practiced with. There's a lot of spread out here on who plays what factions. So I think we'd have to get together and kind of look at what bases we have covered. I might use that as an excuse to start a different army that I just want to learn. But yeah, I guess I'll cop out and say, give Sam's answer. I'll play what the team needs me to play. I'll just try and make it one of the things I already own or something I would actually want to buy.
Can I answer Force? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, can I answer what Sam actually would play? Because I reckon I know. Is Sam would play Leagues of Votann because it's the new shiny.
I actually don't like the Leagues of Votann. Those don't interest me at all. But anyways, that's for another topic. But speaking of things in the future, bit of a segue. If 10th edition is rumored to drop next year and is actually going to drop next year, as rumors would have it say, do you think we should have a stopgap of indices or not? Starting with you, Alex, do you think it's a good idea to have a stopgap of indices and bring everything up to standard and have everything at a set point in time, or nah, just keep the codexes rolling?
So that's a complicated answer to this. Do I think that we should have some sort of soft reset when the new edition comes out and everyone goes back to as close to parity as we can? Yes. Do I think GW should do that? I would want to see that kind of parity, that kind of leveling out. But I don't want to see us go back to indexes. I think indexes is okay if you're doing like 7th to 8th, where you have a fundamental change in how the game is going to work. But they're not going to do that going to 10th. I don't think they will. It'll stay. The game will still play the same, and the old book should still work. So I think instead, if we're going to do that, and we're going to launch at 10th, maybe we make sure everyone has a codex before we do that, and that some of those later codexes are forwards compatible. Right. So I have a guard army, or what's left of one. I have a guard army in powdered form. Just add water, mix it up. They come back together. I would want, if I'm buying that book, to not immediately have to go out and buy an index 3 months later because the edition changed. So I don't think we should go to that, because 9th has been a distribution nightmare, and I don't want to see players get burned having to buy 2 books in a year just because the edition changed.
What if you are a Space Marines player and you need to buy your 8th Ed Codex Space Marines, your 8th Ed Index, and then your 9th Ed Codex Space Marines within a span of a few months?
They know what they do.
So I think, in fairness to those Space Marine players, to get them justice, I really think we should go back to Index Hammer, just so that the Guard and Demons players really know what's up, so that they buy their nice shiny new Codex, and then immediately need to like put it on the shelf. Because they've had their current ones, they were just such good value. GW needs to like bring back some of the value by like those books are almost old enough to go to school, so like these next ones need to just have like a 2-month shelf life, and then a 2-month non-shelf life, and then they're like on the shelf permanently. I also don't have like a good serious answer, so just I'm gonna wish pain and suffering even more on the guard and demons players, because if they're still playing that, that's probably just like what they're enjoying.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think there's definitely I think there will be, and there definitely has to be some form of update. But I hope it doesn't go like scrap it all down to the bare bones and start from fresh. But I think you can still probably keep some of the 9th edition codexes, like adjusting some things. Like I wouldn't, obviously in AOS as well, they do sometimes war scroll changes. I think some war scroll, like what are they called? Data sheets. There we go. Yeah. Data sheet changes would be great for some armies whose codexes have been out for a while and just haven't been refreshed or updated, like similar to the balanced data slates that happen. So I think something like along those lines would be great, but I don't want a full refresh too.
I have a quick joke one and then a serious one. I'll do the joke, then Alex can go. I think they also need to make sure that they change even more Drukhari data slates, just so that like Codex is even less relevant. Alex, you had something useful to say.
Yeah, I think the example that we should look to on how they need to index, if they're going to index things or if they're going to put out changes, is the Black Templars supplement was a PDF for like 6 months on GW's website, and it was very bare bones to bring them to playable for that period between them having a book and them having a codex. And you still needed the Marine Codex to play them. I mean, you wouldn't anyway, they're a supplement. But if GW wants to do that, if they want to do this kind of reset thing, okay, put out something that says, all right, your stratagems, ignore your stratagem pages. Here is your PDF of stratagems. It goes with your old book. And here's 1 or 2 changes in that PDF that we're going to apply to that book. You play with this until your book drops, if you want to do some sort of parity thing. But yeah, forcing everyone to rebuy indexes that you then have to toss later, because once your faction's updated, the index is no good, and there's never lore or like painting guides in that or anything interesting. It's just rules. You don't need that. So I think, yeah, do a PDF drop of, all right, this is what everyone's going to be at. This is what you're playing off of. This is yours until your book comes out. You'll want to buy the book because there's more cool stuff in it. So I think that's what we need to do. What they need to do.
That's really cool and interesting. It just seems like a great idea. Unfortunately, it involves digital rules, so I'm skeptical. But yeah,
that's why Templar had it. So that's my argument.
I know. I actually do have a bit of a more serious answer than that. I think it'd be good to have some sort of just like leveling off, calming down, because the Ninth has ended up and everyone sort of knows this, right? And you understand why it's going to happen, because GW wants to be like, look at the new shiny thing to put on their Warcom preview to get people excited about a codex, right? But just I think it feels like to me, since when they released D3+3 damage las cannons for AdMech, right? AdMech. That felt like the start of because the melter thing was just a refresh, right? They're going to D6+2 instead of 2D6 at half range. That felt like it was just like, yeah, all right, we're doing the flamer range buff, fine. That felt about all right. It was the D3+3 las cannons felt like the start of the slippery slope to me, with everything just creeping and getting a bit more, and here's the bonus AP and this and that, and then oh no, now AP is too much, so we need to put in Armor of Contempt for power armor stuff, and then they're just it patching a little bit like Gromit from Wallace and Gromit on the train, putting the tracks down in front of them as they're going. I get why they do it, and I guess it's probably also better that they try and go back and have the data slate patches and stuff to do it. But man, is it a mess to try work out where some things are? I had to ask someone, where's the rule of 3 written down the other day? And I was talking to someone, and we thought there was a pretty reasonable chance that they maybe have just missed it from the Nephilim pack and no one's noticed, and that'll be really funny. It's there, but yeah.
Okay.
So something to try and patch that, and the railgun ignores invols, and then I was picking for the Knights codexes. One of them would have a relic invol that can't be ignored. Turns out it was for demons, but it's just Yeah. Anyway, something to try and like just settle all that down and smooth it off so that they can have a bit better of a playing field and that's like a bit less spaghetti code to work with could be good. Sam, you muted, mate.
Oh, yeah, boom, got there. Yeah, I agree. I think there has to be something to be done, but hopefully not a full refresh like we saw from 7th to 8th. And the last question we have for the show, if you have any questions in the audience, please post them down below. But a nice and simple one. How would you teach someone new how to get into 40k? You know, nice and easy. Just
You're kidding, right? With the simple.
But because obviously this past weekend sort of experienced it, so we had a bunch of new players playing a 750-point tournament. So people just haven't played tournaments before, just getting into the hobby. And locally, we've had a bunch of new players, which is fantastic. And it's obviously something you don't know as, I guess, an experienced player. Like, where do you start? I look back and go, oh my gosh, it's so much to learn and understand. And I think, like anything, just keep it simple, right? You just got to start at the bare bones and work your way in. Start like with your 500-point games or 50 power level, or just whatever you get out of a box, right? And just teach the fundamentals. So my understanding is that like the Warhammer shops, they have like a beginner nights where they just teach you the movement phase, the shooting phase, the charge phase, the fight phase. Keep it very simple, and then just repeat that. Repeat the fundamentals and add things on slowly but surely. So, but we'll start with you, Towse. How would you teach someone new how to get into 40k?
I think I probably would do something a bit like that. Depends a little bit like how familiar the person is with different games and all that sort of deal, and like how fast you want to add things in. But probably play like some sort of a game with, I would pick 2 factions that they find sort of interesting, if I would say to do a learning game where I were playing against them, and I'd try and tailor it so that they were playing a faction that had like an advantage matchup into the other one, into the one that say I had. So, you know, there's experience, but then they can blunder a little bit and they've got a bit of a maths advantage. Yeah, do something like just play with the core rulebook, because I feel like the baseline things of set up a few different bits of terrain, like, hey, this one has this trait, like a ruin, a forest, and a crate or something like that, right? Because that covers pretty much all of the potential like main keywords for terrain and stuff like that. I don't think they're too difficult to get your head around. Give them like a selection of models if possible, of like, here's a tank, a character with an aura, some units, yada yada. Right, a gun unit, a combat unit, play through a practice game, and just use like cool rule books. Don't do secondaries, just do like one of your Eternal War things. Maybe just like choose a random Nephilim book mission and only play the primary. Something like that, right? Nephilim might actually be nice because you've got like the mini tertiary secondary thing of like, here's the primary and there's like this little wee bonus. You could explain that. Then maybe go like, okay, now we're going to consider stratagems and add that in. And then maybe go like, okay, there's also these, like, and then worry about some of the stuff like some of your sub-faction like special bonuses. So just do like a core thing of like, I feel like the base rules flow not too badly. Like, you move your guys, you cast some magics that buff things, you shoot your guns, then you punch people. Repeat. Doesn't feel too outlandish. Then add in like, okay, now these are some faction like army-wide buffs and some stratagems, so you can like every so often do these things. And then like a few progressive games like that. Feels like how I'd probably try and do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think start small and add things on. And a great point, though. I think you got to let the person pick their army. Pick the army that you like the aesthetics for most. That's the biggest factor I've always heard. And yeah. Alex, what would you add on to that? How would you teach someone new how to get into 40k?
I think Towse hit it on the head of just keeping it simple. I was trying to think back to the first game of 40k I played ever that got me into the game. And it was actually in a legit Games Workshop store in Washington. And it was the Battle from a Crag set. And they'd set up a scenario that like didn't exist. It was just like moving stuff around the board. You know, I had a Space Marine squad with a flamer, I had a Space Marine squad with a rocket launcher, and I was fighting, I think, some Termagants, right? Like, it wasn't even Gene Stealers. Like, it doesn't even need to be a full game. You can set up narrative scenarios for that are like, hey, here's this cool thing that's going on that you can play in. And I think that's a fun way to to get people into the game is to tie it first to the narrative, because that's what a lot of people see as their like entry. There's exceptions to that where people will pick it as a tournament object, like a tournament game. But you go with like a narrative, like, oh, hey, we're going to play this battle. We're going to recreate this battle, right? Like we're going to do Sanctuary 101. So sisters versus Necrons. And that's an easy, like, all right, hey, we can point to this. You can read about this thing happening and we can play it out and almost pitch it like a historical thing. I'm probably the worst person to ask how to teach people things because I am a terrible teacher. I've tried to teach people 40K. I'm very bad at it because I'm bad at instructing, and I can't turn off the part of my brain that goes, all right, this is how you move, this is how you shoot. And here's wild things you do in the charge phase to wrap things and get extra move. Like I can't turn that off because I've learned it. I want to do that all the time now. Or like, here's how you do firing and string people out for like preventing deep strikes. I'm like, oh, I guess, never mind. I guess we shouldn't do that. So I really struggle with that, which is why I would probably lean more heavily on like narrative scenarios, because then it doesn't matter that I'm tri-pointing a random unit in a squad or I'm daisy chaining zombies as they respawn. So that's where I'm at there. It's a struggle for me to figure out how to teach things.
I didn't expect that from you, to be honest. That's hilarious.
I've tried a couple times how to teach people like how to play. I remember early on at different shops, and I was talking with a buddy, and I actually realized I'm not the guy to teach people that. I'm the guy to come in later once they figure out the game. They're like, all right, here's the advance. I'll see if I can use my one swear so our editor can get really mad at us. Here's my advanced fuckery of like how you're going to win games. That's what I can teach, but I really struggle with the fundamental, like, here's how you move models. Like, you should read the rule book. You'll figure that out. We're in here for charge phase shenanigans.
I guess you haven't worked out the advanced things that let you win games on Death Guard then, Alex. Only
no, I'm just throwing this out there. I had gotten down. I had nailed how to respawn daisy chain poxwalkers to get on objectives. Like, I knew the math on that. And I had one random T out in an event be like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, well, never mind. None of this works now.
Yeah.
Sad.
Have we had more than like the one TTS game? I have vague memories of us playing on that, and I was just like, I don't want any of your nonsense. I'm going to have a Ventari squad, just like, right, that Poxwalker squad, all of it gone. No fun allowed for you, sir. And I didn't touch the other ones.
We played a couple times. I seem to remember me trying. No, we played that one game where you played
the
Knights.
Custodian's Mirror too.
No, we did. I was doing Death Guard and we were playing Knights. It was me practicing Terminus Est. I remember that because I was like, again, chaining poxwalkers to hold objectives and like block charges with them.
Man,
that is not a good thing to try and teach new people. Oh, we did. Trust me.
Did we also play?
The game ended turn 2.
Good or bad?
That was good. It was just it went sour for me real quick.
Okay. I am pretty confident as well. Didn't we play? Was it you that I played in where like you were running the Death Guard list, and I was like, yeah, let's just throw iron hands at things and see what happens, and I got wrecked because I played so poorly. I played someone with that. It was funny.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for everyone for the questions. That's going to be it for this episode 11, scheduling and uprising. Join us back in a couple of weeks where we'll have some interviews of the post recap of WTC from some future guests. So thanks everyone for joining live, and thanks for listening. Hope you have a good one. Take care.
Yep. Hopefully we'll also have Ben next week.
We will hopefully have Ben. Definitely. Catch you, everyone.
And like still Alex, because apparently that's a necessary thing to say at this point.
Yeah. You're part of the crew. You should be here.
Part of the ship. Part of the
Nice.